on back down. It's hard to tell. Or lighter. There you go. I'm gonna wash you a little bit down there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to After Dark. We'll be recapping Monday Night Raw, and I'll be back in about a minute. And now we'll be back in 30 seconds to get the show started. Hello, everybody. Once again, we're recapping Monday Night Raw. It's a pretty good show. Started off with Miz TV, because, of course, the Miz is the host of WrestleMania. And he had on Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish. And it's funny because Becky kind of was on the Miz tonight. I mean, she was going like one after the other. And I believe Cody's joining you. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. What's up?
Just welcome you to the live stream. We got 3 people watching. So anyway, so Becky was dogging on the Miz pretty good. And then Lita went to talk, but Damage Control interrupted and said that they're kind of tired of, Lita and Trish being around. Bayley said that it would be back in her past, this would have been like a dream match for her to have a match with like Trish Stratus and Lita, but now, she just wants to stop them from taking like the spotlight. And so then Becky said that all they've been doing is all Io and Dakota have been doing is been like Bayley's lackeys, and they haven't really done much for themselves. So all 3 of them argued, and then it went to commercial. When they came back, the match was Io Sky versus Becky Lynch. It was a great match. I mean, back and forth. Becky really let Io shine in this match, which I feel like sometimes she doesn't get a chance to do with being part of Damage Control. Towards the end, back and forth match. And then Becky went, or Io looked like she went for a clothesline. Becky ducked it and then hit her with the manhandle slam. Got the pin. And then they went to another commercial and some promos because there was a lot of promos tonight with it being WrestleMania week. So, again, really good match. What was your thoughts, Tony?
Loved the match. It was very entertaining. And we found out earlier today that Nathan isn't perfect, but that's okay.
Well, nobody's perfect. And before I forget and continue, I want to welcome Miss Rodriguez and DJ Shade to the show. And don't worry, Miss Rodriguez. You can check it out on YouTube later. So then, the second, and these might be a little bit out of order, and I apologize for that, but the second thing was the weigh-in with Omos and Brock Lesnar. I guess if you could call it a weigh-in, because Omos weighed in at 410 pounds, which is the weight he's been weighing in on for like months now. And then Brock came out and decided not to weigh in, but decided to try to beat the crap out of Omos. And he got some decent shots in, a couple of forearms, and he tried to run a shoulder tackle, which knocked Omos to the ropes. Then he grabbed the scale and was going to hit Omos with it, and almost hit him with a side kick, which at his size probably felt like a tree limb. And then Lesnar kind of rolled out to the side and had a look on his face like, I don't know what I'm going to do at WrestleMania, so that should be interesting. So your thoughts on that one, Tony?
Too slow of a weigh-in. Waste of a spot.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that, especially the fact that Brock didn't weigh in at all. I mean, you could have just had Brock hit him with a chair or something.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's the go home show before WrestleMania.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Did you feel like there was too many promo packages, like hype videos?
They have to hype up everything. You know, I mean, it is WrestleMania week, but I mean, it's still, you know, by now everybody knows what's going on. By now everybody knows the card. By now, you know, stop wasting it with the promos and get on with the wrestling, dang. And I mean, I wish WWE would go back to the old days and actually compete against AEW and put more wrestling on and less TV. You know, or if they do, you know, want to do more promos or something, do it in picture. I mean, at least that way people can watch commercials and still watch the match and feel like they don't lose anything.
Well,
Many bathroom breaks.
Exactly. Especially, like, go back to the old days, even of WWE, before they even competed with AEW. You know, where, like, the go home Raw or Raw before WrestleMania was the one that you couldn't miss because you knew something, you know, at the show was something you weren't going to want to miss. You know, I didn't get that feeling from this one. And, but there was still some matches. One I thought was interesting was they did a recap of Logan Paul and Seth Rollins, where Logan Paul, which again I still say has an illegal right hand because of the metal in there, knocking out Seth Rollins twice. And then Mustafa Ali, in his new positive motivational speaker gimmick, came up beside Seth Rollins. It was kind of hyping him up, um, and telling him that, you know, he was going to be okay. But then, in the same breath, he would tell him that, like, Logan Paul, you know, knocked you out twice. And then he came up with a very interesting, like, tagline that I thought was could be on the verge of a little bit cheesy, depending on how they do it. And that's he's now calling himself as a tagline, Positively Ali. So I mean, I guess it'd be like Positively Paige. Then they ended up having a match because Seth Rollins said that when Seth was the United States champion, Ali always wanted to fight him, and so now he'll get his chance. This was probably, to me, the best match of the night, except for the main event. And that was because I've always been a big fan of Mustafa Ali. And he was another one, like we talked with Vertigo about last night, that I felt like hasn't gotten the push, you know, that he deserves. Although I have heard that he's about ready to get one. But the cool spots to me was when Seth Rollins put Ali in the Tree of Woe. And instead of doing like a running knee like Kevin Sullivan used to do or a drop kick, he actually did a stomp to Ali in the Tree of Woe that looked incredibly vicious. And then followed that up with another stomp, which is his normal stomp, but the way Ali took it looked nasty because his forehead kind of stuck into the mat. And then Seth got the pin, cut a promo on Logan Paul, detailing everything that Logan Paul had done, and said that he was going to take him out at WrestleMania. Your thoughts on Seth Rollins, although I'm pretty sure you enjoyed that one.
Seth freaking Rollins. What can we say? Logan Paul, better watch out.
But again, I have to get your opinion on that Tree of Woe stomp. But I think that was the first time I'd ever seen him do that.
So what is it?
The Tree of Woe stomp. You know, like his curb stomp.
Oh yeah. No, I mean he's definitely evaluated or elevated it. That's the first time, as you were saying, he has done a stomp that high.
Which is amazing because there's no way for the opponent to really, you know, get out of the way. And then they had like a very interesting 8-man tag, which now it makes sense because I was a little confused earlier on when Doug was on when he said the 8-man tag. And it was the 4 teams that were going to be in the WrestleMania showcase. So you had the Street Profits teaming with Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Alpha Academy and the Viking Raiders. And the Alpha Academy were still doing their normal stuff, even though the commentators were still trying to get over the fact that Otis is being pursued by Maxine Dupri, who was watching backstage on a monitor. Very, very good 8-man tag, in my opinion. That there was a very funny part to me where, like, Braun Strowman had everybody on the outside, and he did the Strowman Express, and he hit Otis, but like Otis didn't know how to or he maybe knew, but he ran out of room. And so instead of going down, he just kind of like fell backwards onto the table. And you could literally see Corey Graves' face be like, okay, I'm going to back up a little bit now. So that was kind of funny. The match, and I felt like the Viking Raiders kind of shined in this match more than any of the four teams. But the winners of that match were Ricochet and Braun Strowman and the Street Profits with a pretty cool combination. They did a spot which I guess because they've done it more than once now, that's Ricochet and Braun Strowman's finisher, where Ricochet gets up on Braun Strowman's shoulders and does a swanton bomb. Not as good as Jeff Hardy, though. And then Braun kind of backed up a little bit because Montez Ford was the legal man. Montez not only jumped off the top rope, but he cleared Braun Strowman and changed direction in midair and landed on Eric of the Viking Raiders to get the pin. Like I said, that was a killer finish. Your thoughts?
Which one were we on? I forgot. Sorry.
It's all good. It's late, and like I said, if you need to go for work, that's completely fine. But we're on the 8-man.
Oh yes, the 8-man. The 8-man. The 8-man tag. Probably one of the best 8-man tags WWE's put on in a long time.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I still think Nathan's on the wrong end of that on his prediction, but what can we say?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this after, and we'll get to this in a minute. After seeing the match that my pick was in tonight for the Battle Royal, I'm not feeling very confident. Then we have the last qualifier for the women's showcase, which was Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, and against Michin and Candice LeRae. Good match. I wasn't quite sure how to feel about the tag team of Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. And I kind of wonder what happened to Carmella. They were really big on pushing Carmella and Chelsea Green. And then for like the last 2 weeks, she's been gone. I know she had just come back for some personal stuff, but I don't know if that's still there. But the thing I did like is that they let Chelsea Green win with her finisher, so maybe now she's getting more into the wrestling part instead of the being annoying to Adam Pearce. So Chelsea Green hit the leaping unprettier because it's not like Christians, and got the pin. So now it'll be Sonya and Chelsea Green in that fatal 4-way. Your thoughts on that match?
The final prediction that Nathan made to seal his fate for his bet, but it was an okay match. I kind of even agree with the winner of the match. It sets up a lot of intrigue and interesting things coming into WrestleMania night 1 or night 2, depends on which night they put the match on and how far they want to wait to debut the people that I wanted to talk about later. But anyway, moving on with that. I think it probably would have been better having Michin and Candice. But hey, that's why I'm not the promoter and I'm not the booker.
No, but I agree with you because especially with like with Johnny wrestling Grayson Waller, uh, and I'll get to this more when we do the stand and deliver predictions. But with Johnny wrestling and stand and deliver, I thought maybe they would have Candice in there to kind of build that whole momentum thing with their family, but maybe they just needed some bodies in that other match, and I'm pretty sure it'll be a good match either way. Now I have to admit, and I'll get your help with this one, Tony. On the Rey Mysterio match with Damian Priest, I kind of dozed off a little bit, so you're gonna have to help me out with that one.
Well, I wasn't really paying much attention to that match either because that was the time we were doing our major podcast. We do know that Damian Priest ended up winning the match.
I'm assuming with help from Dominic.
I believe you're correct. Setting up a great match. But the faction from NXT came down to save Rey.
Legado?
It was the three of them.
Oh, okay. So it was Del Toro, Wild, and Escobar.
I think so. Yes.
Okay, so that
I can't be 100% for sure because, like I said, I don't watch NXT. So
yeah, and actually they're on SmackDown now.
Right.
But, and that actually makes a lot of sense since they're doing that whole respect thing with Santos and Rey. And then the match that I didn't like because it made me feel like maybe I picked the wrong person in the Battle Royal was Gunther versus Dolph Ziggler.
Which, ladies and gentlemen, I have to admit, the host made his predictions tonight for WrestleMania. If you didn't see him, go back and watch our episode earlier and see the host seal his fate when he made that dreaded pick of Dolph Ziggler winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal when he forgot to find out who all was in that Battle Royal first. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Bobby Lashley is in that match. And come on, be real. Bronson Reed's in that match. Boogs is in the match. I mean, come on. There's bigger men in there than Dolph freaking Ziggler. And what are they going to do is Dolph Ziggler winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? That usually sets up the person to be the next challenger for a title. Dolph hasn't been relevant in WWE since Nathan had hair.
I have hair.
Very little.
Okay, true. But counterpoint to that, last year's winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was Madcap Moss. They ain't doing nothing with him.
Time for a joke.
That was funny.
And besides, he's dating a hot girl too, with Emma.
That's true.
Or Tennille Dashwood, as we know her mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had a promo backstage with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And I tell you what, that was the most impassioned I've heard Kevin Owens in years. And Sami Zayn, for that matter. They talked about how they got their start in Los Angeles for the PWG. They didn't actually say PWG, but that's who it was. And it's kind of like coming full circle now that they're back together and WrestleMania being in Los Angeles. Kevin Owens' promo to me reminded me a lot of Owen Hart. You know, when Owen was like really going good in the Hart Foundation, and he was really getting into a promo or getting ready to win a title or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I really enjoyed that promo. Then to me, the match of the night, which was Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes. And I'm telling you this right now, that little prediction we did, which has no bearing on the bet, but we both said it, of Paul Heyman turning on Roman and joining up with Cody. I think Pat might be onto something when he said he would go with Solo, because tonight when Paul Heyman was standing next to Solo Sikoa during his entrance, and that whole presentation, I could really see Paul Heyman just saying maybe something like, you know, I've been with you longer than anybody, right? And then there's so much time where you leave and I'm the wise man, but then you kind of go off and do your thing. So I'm kind of trading up to like the newer, the younger, up and coming, superstar, something of that nature. So, I could really see that too. Which means, like Vertigo said, they're doing a wonderful job and Emmy-worthy job of telling that story. The match went back and forth. Very, very good match, although that's what I expected. The Usos at one point got involved. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn got involved. But as Tony mentioned during our first podcast tonight, they never touched Cody or Solo, so there was no disqualification. And Cody won with Crossroads, which I thought was interesting because you remember back in the early days, like when they played the Samoan characters, their head was like a cinder block.
Mm.
And everything you did to their head, including hitting them with a chair, they would just shake off. So I was halfway expecting Solo to like just stand up after the Crossroads. Like, Cody gets excited that he hit the Crossroads or whatever. Kind of panders to the crowd and Solo stands up. Maybe hits him with another Samoan spike. But he didn't. He hit Cody hit him with the Crossroads and got the 1, 2, 3. That was pretty much Raw. I would give Raw probably this is a little bit harsh, but I'm going to give it a C tonight because of all the video packages. The matches were good, but the video packages got really tedious. Tony, your thoughts?
A C? Are you crazy, Nos? A C.
Probably.
A C.
Yeah. It does start with a C. So.
Are you crazy, Nos? No wonder you're going to be wearing a dress in Seattle.
Okay, so what would you give it then?
I'd give it, even with the commercials, a solid B. I mean, come on. That Solo Sikoa match and Cody Rhodes, although it wasn't as good as the Jacob and Hammerstone nor was it as good as Kenny Omega and El Vancaigo or whatever the heck his dude's name is last week.
By Kingo.
Vikingo, there we go. However, those two matches last week absolutely stole the show, period, for the entire stinking week. Those were probably two of the better wrestling matches that I've seen in my life. However, Cody versus Solo was right up there. Solo Sequoia Kid, you are going to be the next head of the table until your cousin can come up from his contract in MLW and take his rightful place as the king of the Samoan dynasty.
And as Vertigo said, don't forget about Zilla, which is, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right.
You are correct, sir. It is Zilla Fatu. And for those of you that have not heard that name, he is the 23-year-old son of the legendary, late, great Umaga.
Yep. And I'm telling you, I saw some video that somebody posted on my Facebook. It might even been Vertigo. I didn't check the name of him moving in the ring. And what Vertigo said last night was 100% spot on. That guy's got like fluidity. I know he's only been training for a short amount of time, but he's training at Booker T's Reality Wrestling School. So, I mean, other than maybe the Wild Samoans, you can't get much better than that.
I mean, hell, you're part of the best wrestling dynasty in all of wrestling. And that is a fact because we asked a member of that dynasty yesterday who the best royal family is in professional wrestling, and by far that's the family he had chose.
Yep. And then you add to that by being trained probably by your family too, but going to the school of arguably the best tag team wrestlers in like the 90s and 2000s.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, he did say in a interview that I had actually watched yesterday when I was looking up information on Mr. Zilla. He goes, the only reason he's with Booker T is one, because his uncles Alpha and Sika trust Booker T because he was actually part of the family at one time or another too. He's tied into the family and they trust him. So, right. And so that was one part of the story. But the other part of the story is he actually wanted to go to Florida and work in the family promotion, except as I said in the earlier, he had just gotten out of prison and on parole. So when you're on parole, you can't leave the state.
Gotcha.
So fortunately enough, he got in trouble in the state of Texas, and lo and behold, Booker T's Reality of Wrestling is in Houston. So he didn't have to leave the state of Texas to find a great wrestling school and two great coaches in Booker T and Stevie Ray.
Yep. Now, you brought up earlier you wanted to bring up a couple of ladies that will be debuting soon.
Not ladies.
Oh, my apologies.
That match I was referring to was during that Fatal 4-Way with the Chelsea Green. What I'm referring to is we think, or at least I think, I don't know what my host and his co-host think of this, but I think sometime during WrestleMania weekend, we're going to see 3 re-debuts of wrestlers that were in WWE a while back. One of them I agree with because just the intrigue between this person and Bobby Lashley, but this person that I'm going to say first has an actual 2-0 record against Bobby Lashley in another company.
Oh, I know where this is going.
So I think this man and Bobby Lashley need to have the rubber match to see who actually is the best big man. And that man is Brian the Machine Cage.
Yes.
I think at some point during WrestleMania, they are going, maybe, perhaps they might not even wait till WrestleMania, and they may show up Friday since Lashley is supposed to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So, and we all know that Bobby Lashley is looking for an appointment for WrestleMania. So who knows? Maybe they'll show up Friday and set something up that way. Wishful thinking. I think they'll wait till Mania, but just, wishful thinking on my part. The next two guys are the major players, better known as Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, now known as Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. There we go, Brian Myers. Sorry, it's been a day. I'm extremely exhausted. I'm running on fumes, but we're going to finish out this podcast strong. I feel somewhere along the line they're going to interfere, perhaps maybe in that fatal 4-way tag team match, or perhaps maybe, as I was getting to earlier, maybe they help Chelsea win her debut match in WWE, or her debut pay-per-view match, I believe.
Yeah, and again, going back to what I said in the earlier podcast, do you think that they would go as far as having one of the women take like an elevated Rough Rider, like behind the referee's back?
If they interfere in that match, I think so. But I really, truly think that the major players are going to interfere in that fatal 4-way tag match, just because we all know that the winner is probably going to end up challenging the tag champions at some point.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the match that they interfere in, just because they think they're one of the better tag teams of all times. And, okay, you know what? Matt Cardona is a great wrestler. Brian Myers is a great wrestler. But they were jobbers to begin with in WWE. What makes you think Vince McMahon or Triple H aren't going to make them jobbers again?
Okay, so we're not going to say the word because we don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. But if you listen to Joe Henry, we all know what he thinks about Matt Cardona and Brian Myers.
Oh, that just got me thinking about the song. I want to say it so bad, but I'm sure we'll get censored.
Yeah, I do too. But we're not gonna.
Because they're always gonna be edges beep.
Yep, there you go. That's pretty good, actually. I thought about somebody else that might debut that has a connection to Matt Cardona. That, while you were talking, that hasn't been doing anything much lately. And I think his contract in the promotion that he's in is about ready to expire. Although I could be wrong on that. And that's Mike Knox.
Ooh, interesting.
The reason I say Mike Knox is because when Matt Cardona was in the NWA, when he was their heavyweight champion, he had a faction. It was him, BSK, Mike Knox, and Chelsea Green. And then later on for a little bit, Brian Myers, but that didn't stick very long. And they called themselves the Cardonas. And right now they have, because I watched last week's NWA, they have Mike Knox working as a face, and it just doesn't work. There's some guys that just don't work as faces. I mean, Impact found that out when they tried to turn Mike Knox into the Carnival guy with the menagerie. You remember that?
Oh yes, yes, yes.
The only thing that was good about the menagerie is it introduced us to two of the TNA stars. One's still there, and one's in Impact, actually. The one that's still in Impact is Crazy Steve, and the one that's in Impact is Rebel.
You mean AEW?
Or
Not
sorry,
Impact.
sorry, AEW. So that was Raw and a little bit extra. Tony, do you have anything else before we sign off?
No. So just we'll have another content show tomorrow night and probably another After Dark.
Yeah.
Nathan and I will probably talk during the morning sometime to figure out what we're going to put on the content show. I will do a little spoiler teaser like I've been doing. Our hope is to do a show a night up through WrestleMania since it is WrestleMania week. We have 2 more prediction shows that we have to get to sometime during the week.
Yeah, we just have to work with Pat's schedule on those.
We're going to do a Stand and Deliver, and we're going to do the Super Card of Honor with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think one of the things we could do tomorrow, and you're right, we'll talk about it more, is maybe like well, I know you don't watch NXT on Tuesdays, but maybe we can do what we're looking forward to on NXT, and our thoughts on the 2 major injuries for Impact Wrestling.
And something else I'd like to do this week, just because it's WrestleMania week, I'd like to go through and just talk about the world champions of all the promotions and what we really truly think of all the world champions. And we might even dig in to the Jeff Hardy situation.
Ooh. Yeah, so it sounds like we have some good stuff coming up that I'm really intrigued about now. So please keep watching our Facebook page for updates. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We want to say thank you to our sponsors, the CARE program, which stands for Community Action Reaching Everybody. If you're interested in their services, get a hold of Becky Bernhardt. Also, I want to say thank you to Bruce Nichols Painting. So look him up for all your painting needs and pressure washing. And we will see you tomorrow night or afternoon.
Good night, everybody.